Hello and welcome. My name is Jameson Stell. I work as an ESOL instructional specialist in the Department of Multicultural Education, and I'm really excited to be taking part in the 27th Annual African American, and Caribbean Studies Summer Institute. This session is entitled Overcoming Common Learning Challenges of the Haitian Creole French ESOL Students. And today I have the privilege of being joined by my good friend and colleague, Mr. Ronel Blaise. Mr. Blaise, before we get started, would you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Hi, my friend Jameson. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me and Mr. Jameson for this conversation. It's an honor to have you. Welcome to this session. To answer your question, let me briefly introduce myself. I am Ronel Blaise. Like you said, I'm a social service facilitator at the Department of Multicultural Education. I was born and raised in Haiti. I went to school there for almost 23 years. I was a French teacher in Haiti, and teacher in Haiti for the National Department of Education, and a teacher of methodology in different universities and Cape Haitian. I graduated with a bachelor in law from State University of Haiti and finished a master program in divinity at North Haiti Christian University and earned a C2 level in French. This is the highest diploma of French as a foreign language. My work studying Creole French ESOL student has led me to identify the most common challenges they face and strategies for overcoming them. I am passionate about helping and equipping families, particularly the ESOL student and their families, which is why I aspire someday to serve as a certified school counselor.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you bring a wealth of experience and knowledge. I'm really excited. So by the end of this discussion today, what are some of the objectives that you expect for us to have accomplished?
Okay. Our goal for this discussion is to address some common learning challenges of Asian Creole French ESOL students, also provide cultural awareness to help educators with a better understanding of the Haitian Creole slash French ESOL student who they serve. Because it's no secret, my friend Jameson, that the first language of an ESOL student is going to affect all that student learns and speak English. And the mistake she is going to make, that's why getting to know all those problems as a teacher, as educator, can be useful to your ESOL student. You will have a better understanding of the problem they might face. Also, you might anticipate those difficulties and plan how you will deal with them.
Excellent, excellent. So I know that Creole is the language of Haiti, but I have heard that French is also used there. So can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, to help you have a better understanding of the common learning challenges in the Asian Creole French ESOL student are facing, let's talk about language in Haiti. To do so, we will do an exercise, an easy exercise. Are you ready?
Oh, I don't know how easy this is going to
Yeah,
be, but
and the first thing I'm going to ask you, est-ce que vous parlez créole et français? Oh. Parlez-vous créole et français? Ah, I just said, do you speak Creole and French? That's what I said.
No.
So, can you imagine sometime in class when you say something and the newcomers understand?
Yeah.
Same thing happened. And what we are going to do basically, I would ask you to read for me at least 4 words in each column.
Okay.
4 Creole words and 4 French words.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right.
Can you
Let's
try?
Sure.
I'll keep going 1 minute.
I'll do my best. I'll do my
try,
best.
Try. Can you try number 4 or number 1 if you want?
Okay. In which column?
The Creole column, yeah.
Bonjour.
Oh, okay. What about number 6?
Grand Gal.
Oh, okay. What about numbers 4? That is
Papel.
yeah. Okay. Papale. You said number 1 is bonjour, right?
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Number 6 is gangou.
Gangou.
What about the French column, the French section? What do you think? Which one?
Number 2 looks like mercy.
What about number 3?
Oh man. S'asseoir.
Okay, s'asseoir. Okay. Now, question for you. How did you feel before reading these words? And when you were reading this word, how did you feel, my friend Jason?
I didn't feel too confident in myself. I noticed I tried to use the English I know, and I also speak Spanish, so I tried to use those to try to make sense of what they should sound like. But it's kind of unsettling, made me feel a little embarrassed that I know there are people watching this. If they're trying this and they're not Haitian speakers, hopefully, that they might feel the same if they had an audience watching them. But it's a little scary. It's a little nerve-wracking.
It's the same thing. It's the same sensation, same emotion that the newcomers, the student, when they come to your classroom, they don't know English, you ask them to read or to talk, that the same emotion, the same sensation they have. And question, what are some challenges, obstacles that prevent you to read those words?
I see some symbols there that I'm not familiar with. There's some symbols on the letters.
Accent.
Okay, yeah. So, and then just the letters that go next to them, next to each other, that I don't see very often in English. So I think what I know from English is what I'm most comfortable with. So anything that's different from my first language really threw me off a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Now, let me read some of those words with you, and I will ask you to repeat.
Okay.
The viewers can read as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's say number one is bonjour.
Bonjour.
You see, Creole is bonjour, but in French it's bonjour.
Bonjour.
Yeah, there's the last one. Number two is merci, and in French is merci.
Merci and merci.
Merci. Number three, chita. And as a teacher, you're that right, teacher. Chita. In French is s'asseoir.
So chita and s'asseoir.
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 S'asseoir. So let's take the last one. Let's say number 9, ennualer.
Ennualer.
Ennualer. And French, allons.
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 So just to give you an idea, I'm pretty sure you're trying on your side. Number 4, you need to know that French, tais-toi.
Tais-toi.
Tais-toi. Pas parler is tais-toi. Silence. Silence.
So silence.
Silence, yeah. Silence. Okay. So good job, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. I try my best.
Yes.
So these are, I do see some similarities with English and even with Spanish. Can you give me a little bit of the historical background as to why both Haitian Creole and French are used in Haiti?
Okay. To answer this question, we need to do a quick overview of the Haitian languages historically.
Okay.
As you may know that Haiti was colonized by 2 colonial powers. First, we have the Spaniards for more than a century, and the French for almost 2 centuries. So, following the arrival of the European, La Hispaniola, we call Hispaniola, at this time was Haiti and Dominican Republic, right? The indigenous population, the Taino and Arakan population, they suffered greatly, and near to extinction. And what happened? To supply the plantation, the French owner imported almost 800,000 Africans from various areas to the colony. From there, the Haitian Creole was born as a result of the conversation between those Africans and the master. And you know that the slaves, they speak different languages, and Creole is a result of the combination of French and the other languages spoken by the African.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
So as a matter of fact, that create a disparity today, even today, between the Creole and the French.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask. So are the languages used equally? It seems like maybe they're not.
No. As a matter of fact, there is, as I said, unfortunately, a disparity between Creole and French. And why? Both are the official languages in Haiti. But Creole, some people think is a dialect. It is not. It's a complete language spoken by the majority of the population of Haiti. 90% of the population of Haiti speak Creole. However, French, just a minority, 10%. Why? Because it's the language of the high, of the well, the upper class Haitian. You need to go to school to learn to write French and speak French. So the use of French as a language, unfortunately, is, as I said, exclude around 90% of the population. Because for them, French stay an inaccessible language, is a foreign language for them. Even is our official language. So students sometimes are, most of the students are taught in French. The books, text, everything is in French.
Wow.
Everything is in French. So, and some school Creole is prohibited. And myself, for being to school in Haiti, I remember I've been penalized for speaking Creole in class. And many times they asked me to write 100 lines. I will never speak Creole in class because you can't speak Creole in class for some school.
Wow.
Yes.
So 90% and 90% of Haitians would have Creole as their first language, but in schools, in schools it's French.
Yeah, even at church and some official ceremonies, everything is in French.
Wow, that's surprising to me. So, what other facts can you share? Some other information can you share about the education system in Haiti?
Oh yeah, of course. Let's say over 80% of the schools in Haiti are private. That's what education is very difficult and costs a lot because 80% of the schools are private school. And imagine it's very expensive for parents to send their children. Some families have 3, 4, 5 children. And to send them to private school, you have to pay for everything, uniform, school, transportation, everything is a lot. And most of the schools are not in the rural area, they are in cities. So you have to move from the rural to go to the city so you can find a good school. I think it's important to say that approximately 50% of the rural children from 6 to 11 will never go to school, not because they're in school, because we don't have the same system we have here, school transportation, we don't have in some school, we have lunch, stuff like that. So parents have to provide their own uniform, buy the books, everything, all the supplies. So we have a different system. That's make it so difficult for parents, for children to go to school. Just imagine a family of 7 kids. When you need to send all of them to private school, when you pay fees, everything, it's hard.
Yeah.
And the other thing, only 35% of Haitian children reach 6th grade. They struggle to send them to school. They struggle to stay at school as well. It's not easy. So the rest drop off due to financial orders.
At the end of grade 6, 9, and 13, each student must pass these difficult exams in order to continue his or her formal education. As you know, we have 13 grades in Haiti.
Less than 1% of the Haitian who went to school attend high school.
Wow. So very, very different from our education system here. Well, tell us a little bit about our Haitian Creole student population here in our schools in Palm Beach County. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, we have a lot of Haitian. According to the school district data for the school year 2021, as you know, my friend, we serve about 203 countries in the school of Palm Beach County. And among those countries, Haiti combined itself 20% of the population we serve in Palm Beach County. 20%. Yeah, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
20%. And currently there are 13,995 students from K to 12 showing Haitian Creole as the home language. And we have 5,098, 30% of the students are labeled LY. And as an socialist, you know that means they are supported, they are sheltered currently. Or LF, that means they will exit the program in 2 years. Correct? Yeah. That has been said, as a teacher, as an educator, during your career, you will have to deal with Haitian Creole / French ESOL students.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard it said if you're teaching in a district like Palm Beach County, no matter what, you're an ESOL teacher because the chances are you're going to end up probably with one of our Haitian So it's important for all of us. So what are some of the common challenges that these students face?
A very interesting question. Very interesting question. Yeah. The most common learning challenges of the Haitian / French ESOL student can be broken into categories. First of all, we have the language challenges related to phonology, grammar, and pronunciation. And we have the social emotional challenges related to family responsibilities, household responsibilities, and trauma. Talking about phonology, the Haitian Creole alphabet, as you can see on the screen, has a total of 30 letters. There are 4 missing Roman alphabet letters, the C, the Q, the U, and the X. As you can see, they are colored in yellow. There are, however, 8 letters in the Haitian alphabet that differs from the US alphabet and can carry their own phonemic sounds. They are followed. We have we have sh, we have we have un, we have o, we have on, we have ou, and we. The Anglo. Although the spoken language of the average Haitian citizen is Creole, the traditional language of education in Haiti is French. Haitian literature and Creole language courses are offered, however, they don't become available to the student until they reach secondary school. It should also be noted that even though Haitian literature's courses are about the Haitian culture, these courses are taught in French.
So can you give some examples of how these sounds are different in French and Haitian Creole and in English?
Yeah. Of course I can. Let's see some phonological differences. The first example I can use is the word possession. And I think is a cognate, it means possession in French, right? But let me tell you, Haitian ELL student will never pronounce the double S like a Z. It will say possession. The other word is parasite, right? Same meaning in French, but Haitian ELL student will pronounce the S like a Z. Why? Because S between two vowels in French pronounced like a Z. The word is parasite.
Parasite. Those are parasite.
Yeah, parasite. And the other example we have is jewelry. Asian ELL student will say jewelry, 4 syllable, because of the vowels. Also, the consonant L and R can be silent. You see that? Yeah. Also, the PH phoneme don't exist in Creole and may cause problem to Asian ELL student. Example, Asian ESOL student will say clothes or clothes. Often they pronounce like clothes. In other words, instead of saying throughout, they say too good. And also we have the accent in French, the accent. The accent, they help you to read the words, but those accents, you don't have them in English.
No.
Example, we have the sedia. It gives the sounds S. We have the acute accent, what we call in French like accent aigu. We have the circumflex accent. We have the grave accent, and we have the drama. So they help those students with pronunciation in French that help them to find the correct pronunciation, but those accents, we don't have them in English.
Right. So those are the symbols that I was having trouble with earlier.
Exactly.
So what are some of the ways that the differences in sounds impact the pronunciation in Haitian Creole and in French?
Oh yeah. The differences in sounds impact the pronunciation of the Haitian Creole French ESOL student. The sound of R, TH, and H are the most common mistake made by the Haitian ELL or ESOL student. Why? Because there are no sounds similar to these letters in French phonology. Example, the R sound versus the English R. The French R is uvular. That means it's articulate with the back of the tongue. Meanwhile, it is palatal alveolar approximate in English. That means we draw the whole tongue up to the roof of the mouth. In regards to the TH, there are no dental sound in French. That means sounds pronounced by placing the tongue against the teeth. Also, enunciating the difference between think and the. Can be harder for ESOL student. The glottal pronunciation of H is in existence in French. And the French language, the H is silent. Example, we have the word mean man, and we have helicopter.
I see.
Helicopter. So as a matter of fact, the Asian Creole / French ESOL student will say hamburger, not a hamburger. because the French, the H is silent. And we say hello instead of hello. You see? You see it?
I see.
Okay.
So I see there are differences then in the sounds. How about in the grammar? What are some of the differences?
Oh, yeah. First of all, we have the articles. In English, an article do not tell the gender of a noun, the an. English now are gender neutral, right? Except for nouns that refer specifically to a living creature that has a gender, such as hen or rooster.
Right.
All French nouns are either masculine or feminine. Each word's article must match the gender. But for example, I cannot put le in front of the feminine word because the le is for masculine. Example, le professeur. You see, la professeur. In English, we say the teacher. It doesn't matter.
Right.
The teacher. But in French, we have to put the le is a masculine, la for a feminine.
Okay. Okay.
Le musicien, la musicienne, the musician. Le cousin, la cousine, just the cousin. But in French, you have to either identify if the masculine or a feminine, is a man or a woman. So in Creole, we associate gender to this name. Monsieur ça, c'est un docteur. Or Madame ça, c'est un professeur. Monsieur ça, that means that guy is a doctor. Madame ça, that lady is a professor. That's the way you do it. Also, we have to be versus to have. To be versus to have is another challenge. It's a huge. Why? Because in English, we talk about feelings using some form of being, verb like am, right? In French, the verb to have is often used instead. As an example, in English, we say, I am 9 years old, right? But in French, Haitian Creole French, we say, I have 9 years old. Because in French, you use the verb to have instead of to be. In English, we say, I'm scared. But Haitian Creole, we say, I have fear, I'm scared. Because we use the to have to express emotion.
Yeah.
You see?
I see that a lot. It's very similar in Spanish as well.
Yes. And the next prominent issue that a student usually faces is with the past, present, and future tenses. The use of present perfect, by example, and the two present tense are often misunderstood. For example, instead of saying, I have been living in the United States or in Haiti for 2 years, ESOL student will say, I live in Haiti for or since 2 years.
The present tense.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Just using for or since.
Yeah.
Why? Because there are two reasons for that. Because in French, does not a tense used to express an action that starts in the past and continues to the present. Reason number two, the present perfect tend to confuse the student with the word depuis. We have the word depuis. In French, we translate depuis by for or since. So for them, instead of using the tense, they use the word.
I see.
You see? Also, present continuous in French is not systematically used to express an action occurring now, where least in English it is. As an example, a French one may ask, que fais-tu? What do you do? But what are you doing? And respond with, je lis un livre. I read a book instead of I am reading a book. As a result, Haitian Creole / French students often get confused with the English use of both tenses.
I see. I see.
In addition, in French, the adverb often comes between the verbs and its object. This position is not possible in English. Example, the Haitian Creole / French ESOL student will say, based on his or her French knowledge, my dad speaks very well English. You see, my dad speaks very well English. Instead of saying, my dad speaks English very well.
I see.
Yeah, based on his Creole knowledge, that student will say, I eat rice always on Sunday. Instead of saying, I always eat rice on Sunday.
Yeah.
Also, in English, adjectives come before the nouns they describe. This is not the case in French, where the adjective most often comes after the noun it describes. Example, she is a smart girl. French, she is a girl smart. Same thing in Creole, cette fille ça intelligent.
I see. So what are some of the challenges related to vocabulary?
Oh, yeah, we have a lot. There are numbers of words that look and sound similar in French and English, actually have different meaning. Let's take a look of some of them. And I'm gonna ask you, what do you think about this word? What do you think the first word means, bra? What do you think that word means?
I mean, if I have to give a guess, I'd just think bra in English. Bra.
Okay. What about envy?
It sounds like envy.
Korean, same thing, right?
Grape.
And library.
Library.
And journey.
Journey.
Yeah.
Vacancy.
Okay. And last one?
I would venture a guess.
Yeah. Yeah. But these are known as foreframes. They look or sound similar but differ significantly in meaning. But what mean your arm, not bra.
Oh.
And V means wish. You see, grape means bunch. Library in French is not library. Bookshop. Journée means days, not journey.
Yeah.
Vacances means vacation. And avocat means lawyer. You see, votre bras means your arm, not a bra. Grape means bunch, not grapes. Library means bookshop, not library. Journée means day, not journey. Vacances means vacation, not vacancy. Avocat means lawyer, not
an
avocat.
avocado.
Not an
Yeah,
avocat.
you have to be careful with these.
Oh yeah. Now I have a question for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
my turn.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Knowing some of these language challenges, what do you think? What can a teacher and educator can do to help students overcome those challenges?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that could be said here. I'll say to our audience that each school, each one of your schools has a specialist just like me, whose job, their entire job is to support you in serving your English language learners, including our Haitian Creole and our French-speaking English language learners. So, and our department has a number of resources, a number of great trainings to help with this. So I would encourage you to reach out through your ESOL coordinator, your ESOL contacts, because there's a lot more than what could be said in the scope of our time. But just a couple of things I would say. We talk about the importance of creating a language-rich classroom environment and really modeling for students, giving them the opportunity to see quality input in the language, whether that be written or whether that be spoken. So it could come from teachers, it can come from texts, it can come from their peers.
Okay.
We want to give them as many opportunities to see really rich English, as much as we can, academic English language, and model for them the appropriate use of language as often as we possibly can. And then we can, as we model, we want to teach those concepts that we might find, whether it be vocabulary or grammar or pronunciation, those concepts that we tend to see more errors in, or that we know that students will struggle with. We really want to hone in on those specifically and not just always model, but we can actually be explicit in teaching. Okay, if we always are hearing our students say, I have 10 years, we can say, you can say, I am 10 years old. And we don't always need to call them out. We definitely don't want to embarrass them in front of their peers. But we do want to be able to provide them with maybe some sentence frames or some stems. So when we ask a question, we can kind of restate that question and give them the first part of that answer back so that they have something to work with and that is appropriate usage of the grammar concept or the pronunciation, vocabulary that we want them to use. And then, you know, being careful with how we choose to phrase things. So we can say, instead of, no, you don't say it like that. We can say, oh, we can say it like this, you know? And then also making sure that we're really giving them the opportunity to practice in all four domains. We want them to be able to listen as much as possible and then be practice speaking. We want them to read. We want them to write. So those are really, really important pieces that we can incorporate. And then, of course, it's a plug for our department and for our services. Please reach out to us because we're here to help. We're happy to support you as you support these students that we have so many of. 20% of our ESOL students are Haitian Creole speakers. So we talked a lot about the language challenges. You also mentioned that there are social and emotional challenges for our Haitian Creole speaking students. Can you talk some more about that?
Of course. Yeah. Besides those common challenges related to phonology, grammar, and pronunciation, The Haitian Creole slash French ESOL student have social and emotional needs also to fulfill. Among those needs, they have family responsibilities. That means life beyond school day. They need to provide transportation for the family. So the proficient English speaker in the family should accompany family members to various appointments with doctors, landlords, tax agents, social services, immigration, etc. Because of this, they tend to have attendance issue, and that's very important for parents, for teachers, and all. They are also wearing numerous hats regarding to household responsibilities. Often, when students get home, they have to care of their sibling. They have to while the parents going to work, so they have to cook. They have to uh, take care of the entire family and cleaning the house and helping younger sibling doing their homework.
Mm. So there's a lot. There's a lot
A
there.
lot. Also, they are dealing with trauma associated with immigration. Some of them express fear of deportation, fear for themselves, fear for their family members, for the guardian. They also are dealing with trauma associated with parents' health. Can you imagine a 9 years old, a 12 years old, accompanies his dad to the doctor and has to tell his dad that you have cancer and has to tell that the doctor said you might die. So it's a lot. And also they're dealing with trauma associated with separation. They have separation anxiety from immediate family. Some of Haitian, and that's important to know, some Haitian Creole slash French ESOL students, they don't live with the mom or dad. They live with auntie, uncle, a grandma, grandpa, or sometimes in front of the family. They don't even know before that. They are dealing with trauma associated with discrimination, microaggressions. Also, they are dealing with trauma associated with cultural conflict, and that's important as an educator to know. Conflict between language at home and language at school. Conflict between food at school and food at home. For example, at home, little Johnny should bow his head when he talks to his uncle. At school, he should lift his head.
1, 2, 3, all eyes on me.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a cultural conflict. At home, you can't do that. I cannot look at my mom and my uncle when I talk to him. Even now, I can't. Even because in our culture is a sign of disrespect. You cannot do that. So you see the contrast at school. I have to look at you, but at home I cannot do that. Other things some teacher might not realize. Whenever a parent receive a phone call from the school, the first reaction, little June is in trouble, something wrong. Because for the parent, they expect a phone call if something bad happened.
So maybe they're not expecting a call to hear, oh, they
No.
did so well on the test, or we have an
No,
event
no.
coming up at the school.
No. Whenever you call, oh, I need you for a meeting, conference meeting, that means my child is in trouble.
See.
Yes.
So what are some things that teachers or school staff can do to help these students overcome some of these social and emotional challenges that they face?
Yes, they have a lot. The best thing you can do as a teacher, as an educator, or school staff, you need to build trust.
Yeah.
Build trust and talk to your student about the responsibilities at home and the social and emotional needs. Important. You can also work out alternative plans for them to complete assignment and make up work if they miss school, because sometimes, as I said earlier, my company family is so diverse for various reasons.
Yeah.
So you can do that. Also, motivate them to believe in themselves. Help them to build self-esteem.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Connect them with the school staff, the school counselors, the CLF, and community resources, support them. And lastly, that's important. Show them compassion.
Yeah.
Show them love
Yeah.
and empathy.
That's everything, right?
Everything,
That's
yes.
the work of education.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Blaise, I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers would say the same through this conversation. So I want to just kind of recap a little bit and summarize some of the things that we've talked about. really taking into consideration the linguistic influences of the student's first language, or Haitian Creole and French, really, as the students are working on learning English. Those things can make a very big difference, as we talked about, taking those into consideration, trying to be aware of them. And then directly teaching those concepts they struggle with, whether it be the sounds, whether it be the grammar or the vocabulary that's different in English and Creole or English and French. And then in terms of the social and emotional needs, it's really recognizing the differences maybe in cultural expectations. What are some of the challenges that influence it, the student-teacher relationship, and then also the teacher and the family relationship as well. So I think there's a lot that for us to learn here, and a lot for us to go on. But I'm sure some of our viewers, I know I have some more questions. If our viewers like to get in contact with you and receive more information, maybe some more information about the kind of support that you provide, how can they do that?
Oh, it's simple. If they have question or suggestion, they can either email me. My email is on the screen, or give me a phone call.
Perfect.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, as we close, we just want to thank you all for taking the time to join us for this session. I know I learned a lot. Thank you so much, Mr. Blaise.
Thank you, my friend Jameson, for your interesting questions, and to the viewers for the times, the attentions, and the participation.
Allez.
Bye. You got one. You got it. Good job.